Okay, so what's happened, Reed?
Hey, just life, CW. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm just hunkering down here. I'm trying to think of anything like exciting happened over the weekend. Like, did I step out of my cocoon for any specific reason?
Probably not.
I'm just trying to think of some. How are the kitties?
The kitties are
the kitties good? Did they take their masks off yet?
One of them has.
Okay.
The other one hasn't. The other one's still a little paranoid to do that. So it's okay. It's taking time and baby steps, and it's all good.
So they're just pussyfooting around?
It's a body.
Thank you.
It's a body.
Thank you very much. So welcome to Rock and Roll Confessional. Who are you?
I'm Rita Wild.
I'm C.W. West.
This show is with one of the hardest working drummers in the music industry, Kenny Aronoff. Kenny has been the drummer for numerous artists, including John Mellencamp, Bob Seger, and John Fogerty. We'll talk with Kenny about his book, Sex, Drums, and Rock and Roll.
Along with his many stories and experiences in the music world, Kenny has toured with Seger, Smashing Pumpkins, John Fogerty, and so many more. Plus, Kenny's got 1,300 gold or platinum records from working with so many people let's see how quickly we can do this.
Okay.
Brian Setzer, Marshall Crenshaw, Jefferson Airplane, Bob Dylan, Iggy Pop, John Bon Jovi, Bob Seger, Elton John, Hall & Oates, Bonnie Raitt, B.B. King, Belinda Carlisle, Glenn Frey. This isn't going to go well, is it? Neil Diamond, Lyle Lovett, Meatloaf, Johnny Clegg and Savuka, Waylon Jennings, Buddy Rich Big Band, Stevie Nicks, Randy Newman, Highwaymen, Eddie Money, Joe Cocker, Joe Jackson, Rolling Stones, John Fogerty, Rod Stewart, Leonard Skinner, Melissa Etheridge, Alice Cooper, Mick Jagger, Lennox Morissette, Santana, Rod Stewart, Brian Wilson, Joe Satriani, Billy Gibbons, and Chickenfoot.
I don't think I got that. Can you do it again?
No. Can't you do it?
No.
All right.
So before Kenny adds another band to his list, let's get on with the show. Enjoy this amazing interview with Kenny Aronoff.
I'm in Studio City.
Studio City, okay.
Sorry I was late, man. It was kind of a little crazy. Everything got backed up. I got so much stuff going on, so many sessions and podcasts and projects, and then my Pro Tools went down. And
oh no!
Audiobook, drum book. I have so much to deliver. Masterclass for 2.5 hours, 3 1-hour meetings yesterday. It's pretty intense.
I saw that you had like that masterclass. So
hello, Kenny.
How you doing, buddy?
We actually last saw you at the Gibson event at NAMM earlier this year.
That was a great show where they were honoring Slash.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
Playing with Slash, Billy Gibbons. I loved, what'd you think of like Lizzie Hale and Hailstorm?
I had never heard of her, and I walked out of there being a new fan. In fact, I want to get hold of her for the podcast, because once I discovered her, I started looking her up, and it's like, oh my God, she won Grammys, and she's like really up there, but I kind of feel like she hasn't really been that known, but boy, she just kicked it at that event.
Yeah.
That
great.
song was like, I mean, the recording, she starts off, screaming, and then, I write every single note out. Every single note for everybody is written out. I'm the most detailed chart writer. Every crash, every tom, and that drum part and that song was extremely detailed and well crafted. And the tempo is the most crucial thing. You play that too fast, you're an amateur. I mean, by 2 beats, and it sounds like you're an amateur. And they turned around immediately and went, oh my God. They were going, we haven't played at this tempo. It's like, this feels great. But that tempo was what makes that song so cool. And she just nailed every note. I went, okay, she's the real deal, because she just nailed everything. That scream, every note, perfectly in tune. Unbelievable.
Yeah, she was amazing. Were you the music director for that event?
No, I wasn't. It was Jimmy Vivino. But a lot of times in these situations, I'd end up counting everything off. I have the script of the show. I know who's coming in from where. I know when. I know who has to tune their guitars. I write down, who to look at to make sure they're ready. I mean, I study everything, and I'm always prepared. I mean, you do things like the Kennedy Center honors. You make one mistake, probably won't come back next year. You got the President of the United States there. You got, you got dignitaries from Washington and then all over the country. And then you got Hollywood's finest. And you got to be able to read like a mofo. You got to be able to take direction. You're playing with Sting, Bruce Springsteen, Mellencamp, Don Henley, one after another. You make a mistake, it's not cool. And you don't have that many rehearsals. And I literally talk with the producer, the musical director, and the stage manager to understand exactly when to count off. If somebody's doing a verbal intro, usually to a segment, let's say the Who segment or the George Jones segment, I know what word to start counting, and I have my sticks up, a click going, and I get the person, whoever needs the attention, I get their eyeball. Or if I do like Merle Haggard tribute, with 25 artists in Nashville, and there's a lot of things can go wrong because you got people like Loretta Lynn showing up day of the show. The rehearsal of the day of the show, first time you're in the venue, you start at 10 o'clock in the morning and we stop at about 6 for dinner. And I spend the whole time from 6 to 7:30 eating and rearranging all my charts and going over beginnings and endings because we've never run the show. They're filming it and recording it for release. I can't mess up. So I have to be very, very on guard to be a problem solver, to keep the flow of the show going so it makes the musical director and particularly the producer happy to keep that flow going, to make it as organic and as possible. But, I'll be watching Loretta Lynn walk up to the mic. Is she going to talk? No. Here we go. 3. She does talk. Stop.
Right, because you've got her back is to you, so you have to guess everything that's going to happen.
Dude, it's just like being in the NFL. I'm Tom Brady. We walk out there, we have a play, the defense sets up, they're kind of fake us. The ball's snapped and all shit changes. That's what you have to be ready for. Or like, Hank Jr. walks on, I'm supposed to count it off. He puts a strap on and just starts singing. Yeah.
And you got to catch up.
Oh, you just come in like you know exactly what you're doing. You don't act ever fooled. It's so Navy SEAL. You do your job. You know what your mission is. Things will go wrong. You train yourself to adjust and solve problems. It's not like you never go as a drummer like, hey, it's not my fault.
Right.
Yeah.
Loser. It's not just playing drums anymore. It's doing your job and trying to elevate or co-elevate everybody to be with you and we all end up sounding great. I can't do it without them. They can't do it without me.
But it all starts with the drums, though.
Total teamwork thing. Teams win Super Bowls and World Series and Stanley Cups and NBA titles, not individuals.
Yeah.
And with that mindset, you care about everybody on that stage. It's not about me. It's about we. It's a whole different ballgame.
Kenny, you have so many things to talk about. We want to talk about your book, Sex, Drums, Rock and Roll. I know that you're going to be doing an audio version of this book soon.
Yeah. Well, the publisher, I reached out to him this year. I said, this would be a good time. We should do an audiobook. What do you think? He says, funny you say that. We're releasing a paperback version. And, we're going to do an audiobook. I said, well, I should read it. And he said, well, I'll get back to you on that. Next thing you know, a couple of months later, I said, John, what's going on? He said, well, they've already started it. And I went, what? You can't do my audiobook with a voice that's got a sound like this and a personality like this. You got to have me read that book. I had to audition.
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
Right here in my studio, they wanted, first of all, because of the pandemic, they have special rooms where you do the audio and this is way more involved than you realize. First of all, I think you need to have an engineer because you're going to have to punch in. You got to have somebody there coaching you and make sure you keep your levels. If this is the way I'm talking, I got to do that for 4 hours.
Yeah.
You can't suddenly in the third chapter like that. Yeah. So you need somebody to say, I think you've had enough today. Or I think you need a glass of water. Or that line was rushed. Let's, instead of redoing the whole chapter, let's punch in right there. Well, I don't do that. And watching the DB levels, the guy saying, listen, I think you're getting too close to the mic. You got to back off a little bit. Let's read, it's a lot of work. And they have a whole, oh my God, it was like an 8-page PDF of what you need to do, how you do it. It's very involved, but I have to do it because that will be out there forever. And a fan who likes that book is going to want to hear me tell the story.
Absolutely. I mean, in reading it, it was like I heard you reading it, and it's like, it's got to be in Kenny's voice. No one's else,
We assume you passed the audition.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome.
What they're looking for is not just how I speak, but the sound of my studio. Can they work with it? It has to be no EQ, has to have all these specifics. And I have you can see I'm in a control room. I got a good environment, but you never know. And then they have to take that sound and put it through what they put it through to get the sound that works.
Can you deviate from your original written story?
I thought I could, but they said no.
Really?
So you can't add anything, any special notes or anything in there?
They want the original copy like that. They prefer not to add words.
When's the release date for it?
I don't know. That's one of the things on my list. I have to reach out to them. And I did. I sent a message saying, I read your long PDF. Wow. I said, I have some questions. And I'm excited to do it. It's one of the things that has to be done. And I have another book, I wrote 2 years ago, and I didn't put it out. And now I revisited it. And it's more of the how I made it. It's more about you're on 300 million records sold. How did you do that? And so that book is about that. It's about, you're not born successful. Success doesn't land on your lap. And when you are successful, you have to continue to do this thing called RPS, which is repeat a skill over and over again to be prepared, P, for success. You need to continue to work hard to stay successful. I am the perfect example of that. 4 decades and still going strong. I still do my practice routines. I'm aware of what it takes to be successful and stay successful. During this pandemic, as soon as this thing hit, I was in my studio, working full days, practicing, keeping that up, working out, eating healthy, and then started to build a whole system around not touring. Tons of sessions, so I'm good there. Tons of projects where people want me to film and record. And, I'll be doing 2 Joe Satriani records here sometime this year, even though our record Shape Shifting came out and entered the charts at number 8. No tour. Fogerty's not touring. No, nobody's touring right now because they're trying to figure it out.
Right.
But, I'm smoking busy, and I pretty much turned my studio into a virtual speaking studio so that I can do these corporate speaking events that I do from my studio.
I loved reading your story and how you were brought up. I mean, your childhood sounded like a pretty great childhood. Stockbridge, Massachusetts, made famous by Arlo Guthrie, right? Just some of the fantastic things there. But you always seem to be driven, and your twin brother also, just fascinating. So a lot of it had to do, I guess, with upbringing. Yeah,
my mom is like, where did you guys learn to be so intense about hard work? And your father was a hard worker, but, within reason. And I'm not this way. And I don't know. We came out just maybe because we're twins. I don't know. The bottom line is we both are workaholics, I even tried to figure out a way to maybe tame that down because it was recommended that maybe I should consider that. And it was impossible. It was just so I just accept what I am. And, I'm aware of trying to stay healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I have the 8 steps to a healthy life and try to create balance, recognize where things are not, you're getting off and you need to get, put yourself back on track. It's very important for people to observe themselves and make observations and then take action based on those observations. So, when you're a workaholic, like I left the studio last night at 1:30, and then by the time I get to sleep, it's 3. It's hard to shut there was no way I was going to leave the studio before 1:30. I had things to do, and I wasn't going to be able to sleep unless I got them done. And so I recognized that, so I try to sleep in more to get the balance, but, You're
a busy guy.
At least I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, back off maybe a few things and then catch up. I don't know.
There's a perfect example in your book where you talk about this, and I think you were in a studio with the Rolling Stones, was it? Or
Mick Jagger.
Charlie Watts, Mick Jagger. And then you went to Meatloaf, and then you went to like the Highwaymen or something else, and it was like 24 hours of drumming, and all within 3 studios that were like minutes apart.
What was happening with the Stones was from 12 o'clock to 6 during the day, I was rehearsing with John Fogerty for a tour that was to promote Blue Moon Swamp. And so it was the first time he was going to play the Creedence songs. So I was rehearsing from 12 to 6. From 6 to 7, I got over to another studio, and I was recording with a girl called Katie something, and from Boston, and it was being produced by Roy Bittan, the organ player, piano player from Springsteen. And then basically that was till 11, and from midnight till 5 in the morning, I was recording with the Stones. It started off with Charlie Watts on his record. Then all of a sudden it was the Rolling Stones. And then on the weekends, I think I was doing either Richie Sambora or John Bon Jovi. It was insane.
Wow.
And that was a 2-week stretch. But I mean, there was a sample of time in session work where I went literally on a Monday. It was Bonnie Raitt and B.B. King. For Air America, we were doing a song for the movie Air America. It was Dr. John's song, Right Place, Wrong Time. And then the next 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday, I was with Elton John, recording for his box set. Then on Thursday through Sunday, this is all in L.A., I'm recording for Bob Seger, his new record. Maybe the Fire Down Below or Fire Inside, something Fire. Then I flew to Athens, Georgia and recorded with the Indigo Girls for a week. And then I flew back. And when I landed, I went right in the studio with Willie Nelson. 4 more days with Seger, then 2 weeks with Bon Jovi doing Blaze of Glory for Young Guns 2. That was not unusual for me. And I had 2 sets of drums in Nashville, New York, L.A., of course, Indiana, where I lived, a lot of drums there. And even had a drum set in Germany and Japan, and people were willing to fly me around the country, if not the world, to record their music.
There was one incident where you were talking about, I forget, because there's so many sessions, I don't know how you remembered them all, but you were somewhere, and then you flew to Dubai for something, and then you flew back. You did what you had to do in Dubai, flew back for another session. It's like, doesn't that airline travel just... deplete you? You have like one speed. That's it.
Well, I sleep on planes real good. Back then I was probably drinking on planes real good. Nah, not too much. But I, well, you're lucky if you get in one of those cool Delta planes where it's a bed.
Yeah.
I literally recently, for people listening, here's an example. Last November, I'm playing in Vegas with John Fogerty, and I was supposed to. Originally, I was going to be during that time in Moscow, rehearsing 32 songs with Stas Namen and the Flowers, their 50th anniversary and final concert of this band that it was huge in Russia, very controversial band, and I couldn't do it, and because they didn't get back to me in time. And so I said, I'm playing with John Fogerty, but I said, hey, you know what? Since the show is on the 20th, I could fly on the 18th. The last show with Fogerty in Vegas is the 17th. I could fly on the 18th, land, rehearse in the evening of the 19th, and then rehearse and do the show on the 20th. And they went, sure. So I had 32 songs written out, as I always do, but I told them specifically, because I knew how these guys operate. I said, you've got to update the MP3s, the revisions on all the music. I know these guys. They're amazing, super talented musicians, but they're always changing their ideas around, because this suddenly feels good this day, and then that feels good the next day. They didn't send me anything. I literally, on the whole plane ride, I think it was LA to Frankfurt, Frankfurt to Moscow. I'm running over all these songs, sleeping, no drinking, because I know, I got to stay really strong. I land and go right to the Kremlin from the airport. Right, the equipment's not set up right. I got to deal with that. Then we start rehearsing. We do about 4-hour rehearsals. Oh my God, they've changed arrangements. And I went, well, how many songs have you changed? Oh, that's okay. You find out tomorrow.
Oh, Jesus.
So I'm there. This is a 6,000 seat venue. And there's another drummer, by the way. It's a Russian drummer. I got my music stand here so I can watch the music and watch him and watch I'm doing everything I can. Next day we rehearse. I think we only rehearsed 2 songs that night. Had 30 songs to rehearse. We couldn't get them all, and it kept changing. All the arrangements were changed. I was like, I'm talking like you stop playing, and then you come back in, you play halftime, then you do double time. And they saw finally at like 5 p.m. after rehearsing from 10 to 5, I'm like, dudes, how many more changes are there? And I go, welcome to Russia. It's okay.
More vodka for you.
I'm like, no, it's not. So during the show, I do the best I can. And it was pointed out to me that the level I'm at in experience, the guy another American brilliant artist said, dude, I commend you. I know a lot of drummers. I know 6 great drummers that would have walked out and just left. That doesn't even cross my mind. You can't do that. You can't leave. You do your job. It's just that was a job that's what I had to deal with. And so, I kicked ass as much as I can. They were happy. They do all kinds of editing, but I'm like, wow. So anyway, that's an example. But then when I got on the plane flying back a couple of days later, I had to start preparing for that concert you saw at the Grove.
Yeah.
That was like 15, 20 songs. Don Felder from the Eagles, Slash, Billy Gibbons,
Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just on and on. And every song has a purpose. And so then I'm learning that material. That's why I write everything out. You can't learn 32 songs and they're changing every arrangement by the second, then be ready to do 15 more songs. And you just left Fogerty, who's always changing things around. It's impossible. I mean, another crazy story, which is in the book, was the Mellencamp Seger thing, Hong Kong to Japan to Detroit. And that was a very, very stressful moment for me because, as you remember, I'm still in the Mellencamp band. John gets asked, I'm on the Seger tour, but John gave his blessing. You can do the Seger tour as long as I can have this 1 week open to finish our record. And I mentioned to the Seger people, and they were like, no problem. That's about the right time for Bob to take a break. And that worked out, but there was another break. The last concert before the break, a 5-day break, was in Indianapolis, which is perfect because that's close to where I live. The next show is 3 shows in Detroit, hometown of Bob Seger.
Yeah.
You don't mess around.
That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, that's like Mellencamp in Indiana, Springsteen in Jersey, and Billy Joel in New York, Bob Seger in Detroit. So John gets asked to go to this big-ass convention in Hong Kong where they would have these big conventions like Polygram, the big subsidiary of A&M Records, Reprise, Mercury, Polydor, all these labels underneath. His manager said, you've been invited to be the big act at the end of this thing. He said, I don't want to go to Hong Kong. He says, no, but you too did it last year. And Elton John did it the year before. I mean, it's no joke. This is a good way to kick off your record also. I ain't going. They said, and then they go, well, let's see if Kenny can go. I went, well, when is it? So, well, I play on a certain day. The next day we could fly to New York, land in Hong Kong, blah, 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 do the show. I could do it, but I said, is it possible that after the show I get a jet out of there? I got to land early the next day, a day of show for Seger, and if something goes wrong, I need a backup flight. So the tour manager guy, or John's assistant, said, I'm sure there'll be some wealthy guy who's got his corporate jet parked in Hong Kong, and as soon as the show's over, he's out of there. You jump on that, fly to Paris, fly to the Netherlands, and from there get a commercial flight. They checked. Hong Kong lets jets, the private jets, corporate jets land, can't stay there. They've got to take off and go somewhere else. That ain't going to happen. Because then they can't come back at night after the show. Too late. Airport's closed. If they let John start a half hour early, we'll get done. We can get you on this airplane that goes Netherlands to Paris to Detroit. The convention people went, nah, we're not changing nothing.
Oh, my God.
So then the next possibility, spend the night, take a super early flight, fly to Japan, get on a flight. We land Detroit at 2:45. Now, by the time you get through customs and luggage, you need to be at sound check. I think it was maybe
like 4:30,
4 o'clock they wanted us there.
Yeah.
Impossible. Your Detroit airport to the Palace, impossible in rush hour traffic. So I haven't let Seger people know about this yet. Finally, I have to let them know.
Uh-oh.
And they're like, what? And then Bob hears about it. And then the tour manager guy says, look, I'm going to get you a helicopter. You land in Detroit, take a helicopter to the Palace. So I tell the Seger people all this. Still not good enough. I'm about to go on stage in Indianapolis, and I said to Mellencamp, I just got a phone call from Bob Seger's manager, and they said they got Lloyd's of London to write up a policy to insure in case I don't make it. It's $150,000. I said, dude, you got my back? He said, they're not going to make you pay for that. I said, I think so.
You were going to have to pay $150 for the policy.
Yeah, so I went, dude, you got to cover me. He says, do the right thing. I said, do the right thing. I'm trying to do the right thing. Help me. Kenny, just do the right thing. Click. I'm like, I have to go on stage now and kick ass in my home city with Seger. And I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I get on the plane, private plane to LA, fly to Hong Kong. I go right to the stage in this big hotel to do sound check for 5 hours. I'm just beat to crap. After the sound check, John doesn't want to be there. He's cranky, which is making it more stressful for me. I get to my room. I order some Hong Kong food, run a bath. 15 minutes later, I get a phone call from management from Seger. They track me down. Kenny, the policy's changed. $3,400. That's all. And you know why? The Palace is where the Pistons, Detroit Pistons, play. And they were in the playoffs.
Oh, wow.
They were supposed to win. That's part of the playoffs. They lost.
Oh, no.
So suddenly, the show is on a Thursday. The Palace was booked by the Pistons on Friday. Now the Friday's open. So now the policy is cheaper because everybody could be just stay put. You don't have to bring the trucks back in. Everybody doesn't fly home. They're already there. So all you have to do is go do advertising on the radio and say, due to unknown situation or whatever, unknown circumstances, our show on Thursday is now on Friday. Just bring your ticket. Everything is groovy. That's simple. So I'm like, wow, that's good. Well, I call New York. I call John's management. Are you going to cover my ass? $3,400. He says, well, we can't do that. It's not our position. John has to be asked. I got 15 minutes. I have to call them back. Finally, I went, all right, do it. And I did get charged.
Wow.
They charged me.
But you could have been charged $150,000.
Yes.
And you went into it already knowing that.
Yes.
Jeez.
Your word means something to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I got on the plane. There's one funny anecdote. I'm on the plane. I'm in baggage claim. I have this electronic drum machine thing with me, and I'm hustling to get out of there. And the guy says, hey, stop. I'm moving too fast. They're like sometimes you go through customs, they double check you. They say, hey, come over here. We want to double check. The guy says, hey, aren't you Mellencamp's drummer? The other guy says, that's not Mellencamp's drummer. That's Seger's drummer. They're arguing over who's drummer. Let me go. Let me go. And I got on a helicopter. It was awesome. It was like one of those like news helicopters for the bubble. Your feet are like, And we flew right over Detroit, landed at the Palace. I had a landing strip. I go running in, change, get on stage. 5 minutes before the band, I'm like, hey guys, what are you late? You're late. I came from Hong Kong. You came from...
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful story.
That's great stuff.
That's great. I know a part in your book, you talk about going on stage because you toured with Billy Corgan and Smashing Pumpkins. One of the things you mentioned is that a lot of times 30 minutes before you're to go on stage, he was going to throw out a new set list to you.
Oh, yeah.
I was wondering, was there ever a time with him or anyone else that he would throw a song in there that you had never heard of? Was it pretty much set that you knew the songs that he was going to choose from?
No, what he did was he changed the order of songs, but it was always from the Adore tour. The Adore, he wanted to perform the Adore album. He had Siamese Dream, Gish, Gish, Siamese Dream, and Melancholy. Huge. Melancholy was the biggest selling alternative record ever in the history of alternative music. It was a double CD, 8 million sold, but that means technically 16 million CDs. So he would change. He didn't want to do a lot of the old material, and the audience didn't like that.
Of course,
they wanted to hear the old material.
Sure,
they'd be yelling. Yeah, they wanted to hear the hits. We did only one time. We did Zero for Melancholy, but most of the time we did Bullets and Butterfly Wings, a new version, 1979. And Today. Those were the three songs. So anyway, what Billy would do, he's changed the order, but he changed the arrangements. He was just trying to keep everybody on their toes and make it interesting for him. He has a photographic memory. I mean, he's really, really an intelligent man. And he would do it just to kind of, I would write everything down. I would go every night after the concert. I was into being the pleaser.
Sure.
Almost to my detriment. That I would go home and review every single thing we did. I get a recording of the show we did that night and revise my charts and adapt them to the new way of doing it.
Wow.
And Billy knew that. And he kind of played with that a little bit.
Try to catch you off guard?
Try to. He would, he did a cue once on that, and we were in Greece. He had changed 9 songs radically. Like a chorus that's real big, he'd say, just to tell everyone to stop playing. It's just you on hi-hat and acoustic guitar and vocals. And I'd have to go around and tell everybody. Meanwhile, the guitar techs were going nuts because they'd have to go running around, get the set list, and try to tune all those guitars before the show. Anyway, Billy turns around. He gives me a cue. All it is he turns around and looks at me over my shoulder. He wouldn't even look at me. That's his cue. Wow. And I said, okay, that means stop, play halftime or something else. I guessed wrong. He went, like, what are you doing? I'm like, what am I doing? I'm trying to follow you in your imaginary cue.
Wow.
Anyway, it was an incredible tour because we were in a different country every day. One day we were in 3 countries. We played in Dublin, which U2 came and hung out with Bono, and Bono did, I think it was might have been Bono, The Edge, and Larry Mullins Jr. Had a great hang with Larry, the drummer.
Yeah.
The next morning we wake up all hungover, drinking in Ireland, and we fly to the Netherlands, do a concert in this big-ass festival called the Pink Pop, play, get back on a plane, and land in France. We were all over the world with that band. It was so cool. Their fans are crazy, and it was neat to be in a different, like in a different movie. I'm like an actor, and all of a sudden I'm playing in this really amazing movie. And that's what that was like.
Your life has kind of been like that in a way because you grew up classically trained. I mean, you played with Leonard Bernstein. You would practice like 6, 9, 12 hours a day, nonstop, still live your life as a kid and do all that other stuff. But I love also in the book how you said, it wasn't easy. I mean, that was a lot of hard work, but also there were times where I'd get turned down. I think there was one orchestra that you went back 3 or 4 times until you made it, and they were supposed to only let you 3 times.
Yeah, that is the number 1 student orchestra in America, run by the Boston Symphony Orchestra at Tanglewood, the summer festival they're at, and it's just the most elite orchestra. The musicians could be in all big professional orchestras. And it's a fellowship program, and I auditioned for the timpanist of the Boston Symphony Orchestra in my freshman year at Indiana University to be there in their program in the summer. That's where the Boston Symphony Orchestra is in the summer. I failed miserably the first time. Then I went back the next year thinking, I got it now. I got rejected. Went back a third time, had a pretty good audition, got rejected. And I went back a fourth time and got in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that should be enough right there for advice for people. Just because someone says no doesn't mean it's over. And the perseverance and the drive. Not only am I getting better because I'm trying to do a better audition, but I'm sending a message to them. This guy really wants it. He cannot be denied. And working there was amazing. Working with Bernstein, one of the greatest conductors America's ever had. Aaron Copland, Arthur Fiedler, Seger John, the brilliant tyrant conductor of San Francisco Symphony Orchestra and Boston Symphony Orchestra. Unbelievable experience. And that was the thing that set me on my way to really be an elite percussionist because, as you know in the book, my story is I was 10 years old playing outside. There was nothing to watch on TV, and my mom screams for us to come in the house. And I thought I was in trouble, which was usually the case. And she points to the black and white TV set, and these guys are dressed in suits. They got long hair, electric guitars, bass, and the drums are way up high. And I'm like, and all of a sudden, she loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, what? I'd never seen rock and roll before. I'm jumping all over the place, hitting the walls. I'm electrified. I said to my mom, who are these guys? She said, they're the Beatles. I said, I'm on to play in the Beatles. Call them up. I got to play in the Beatles. Call them up. I want a drum set. I got to play drums. I mean, that's what a 10-year-old kid does. And she didn't call them up and didn't get me a drum set, but I started my own band. I didn't know I was this guy, but, and I talk about this when I speak, when you realize what your purpose is, which is a place in here, not up here, can start here, but ultimately it's got to be a place of passion and desire and love. When you live by that, I call that living by your purpose. Like, what are you friggin' doing here on this planet? What are you doing? You need to do what you're supposed to be doing so that you can maximize what you get out of this life. And when you do follow your purpose and act on it, that'll help you overcome adversity and negative days and bad because you love what you do and you're just driven to do it. That'll make you unstoppable, undeniable, and authentic. And that's exactly who I am. That's why when I saw the Beatles, when I got the Jerusalem Symphony Orchestra, I was willing to turn down certainty for uncertainty because I needed to come back to when the dust cleared, I graduated college, got into the Jerusalem Symphony Orchestra. I went, now that I've done it, I don't want it. Thank God I followed my heart because that has propelled me to do, it was not an easy gig. I mean, I spent 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, living in my parents' house humbly after all that classical success, practicing, trying to catch up, studying with a drum set teacher, Alan Dawson out of Boston, Gary Chester, who was the Hal Bland of New York. And then I moved to LA to Indiana. Everyone said, don't go to Indiana. There's nothing there. They were right, technically. I should have gone to LA, New York, or Nashville, but I went to Indiana because there was somebody invested $30,000 into our band. And we'd write songs, and we lived in a band house, get a record deal, and make records and tour. That was the dream. That was the business model. After 3 years, it didn't happen. So I'm going to move to New York to try to make it there. And I run into this girl who tells me about this guy who's auditioning drummers. They just fired the drummer the night before. This kid's all over the radio. He's on this new show called MTV. He's touring. He's opening up for bands like Kiss. And I'm like, what? This is what I've always wanted to do. He lives in Bloomington. I knew who he was. I wasn't a super fan. Anyway, I win the audition. 5 weeks later, I'm in LA making a record. I'm staying at the Chateau Marmont. And after 2 days of recording, I'm ecstatic. I'm doing this. I tell everybody I've done it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is where I am. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I get fired from the record. Most of you all know that story anyway. I get fired. But the point is that, with all the experience and winning the concerto competition, a violin concerto, and playing it on marimba and playing it in an opera hall the size of the New York Met with a full-piece orchestra, going to Tanglewood, going to Aspen, getting into Jerusalem didn't mean squat to getting songs on the radio to be number one hit singles. I had no experience. And that's why the producer told John, I need to work with guys who have experience. So John didn't want to fire me. I didn't even know that until I wrote that book, and he told me. So,
and that was Steve Cropper, right?
Steve Cropper
was the producer.
Well, since then, we've been friends, and he said, man, I knew you were going to make it. I'm thinking, no, you didn't.
You're going to fire me.
When John told me to go home, as you know in the book, I said, no, I ain't going home. And I wondered why. That was like my mom said, I can't call the Beatles, and I did it anyway. See why that's my purpose?
Yeah.
This is what I'm supposed to. I need to be doing something that makes me passionate, that drives me, because I'm going to just do it. Nobody's going to stop me unless I die. I have to. If I deny myself of what I love to do, I will slip around without even consciously. John told me, you go home. And I went, no. You know why? I didn't know why then. Well, I kind of did, but I didn't know it in these terms. He was trying to take away my bliss. He was trying to take away my purpose. He was taking away what I've been waiting for my whole life. This was a moment where in the universe you're being tested. Do you really want this? Is this what you want? So I have to figure out how to stay. And that's a lot of times in life, you have to fight for what you want. And if it's what you are, you don't care. I'm ready. Let's go. No gloves. I'll fisticuff with you. I need this. I want this. And so I said, I'm frustrated. Am I still your drummer or what? And he was like kind of taken back and went, well, yeah, but you're not playing on the record. I said, well, I'm trying to fish around. I'm like, well, I'm going to go in the studio and watch the session guys play my drum parts. Yeah. I'm going to learn from them. Yeah. And I'll get better and I'll benefit and you'll benefit because I'm your drummer. Silence. It was like, oh my God, what do I say now? Finally, I went, all right, you don't have to pay me. I'll sleep on the floor. And he went, cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break for a moment. First off, we want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. You guys are the rock to our roll. We couldn't do it without you guys. One of the perks, of course, of being a Patreon supporter is that we offer the opportunity for you to submit questions to some of our upcoming guests, if we have enough time. If you are a rock geek like Rita and I are, please go to our support tab on our website, rockandrollconfessional.rocks, or directly to Patreon to make a small pledge, because every dollar counts.
In our second half, we pick up with Kenny's story about getting fired from John Cougar Mellencamp's band. And then Kenny talks with some of his drum heroes, how he stays motivated, and discovery of the iconic sound he created for the Mellencamp song Jack and Diane. Now get ready for the second half of our interview with Kenny Aronoff.
But see, it's that perseverance that you had, that you never gave up. I mean, you had the skill, the talent, all of that stuff, but there was just something else, and you found the way to jump beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that's the inner child in me is going like, but look what I've done. The adult part of me hadn't developed and understood. So what? So what, Kenny? You don't know that. In life, we have to make that transition from child to adult. It sounds so simple. Just getting older and having kids doesn't mean you're an adult. I mean, trust me, being rock and roll can keep you forever young, and, you can avoid maturing and growing up. But when I say adult, that means understand life from a deeper place so that you can make better decisions and get more value out of life. That's why I love speaking so much. I'm in a mindful part of my journey where I've gathered all this information and on top of which I've done a lot of work. And now I have a platform to speak from my heart about the things I have done and am still doing. I'm not just talking about, when they introduced me, it sounded like, well, back in 1980. It's like, how about from 1980 until 2020 and still going strong? Yeah. And it all ties together. That's coming from a place of purpose and desire and wanting to still do stuff. And then speaking, it's not just going up there and just like, I like to talk. It's like, I'm damn serious about this. I believe in this. And when I'm talking to you, it's reinforcing my beliefs in me and those concepts that I believe in. I need to talk to tell you what I'm telling me that is real, that's happening, that made me do that much work over and over and over again. It's way deeper than what I thought it was, and now I love it. It's like I continue to live by my purpose.
Are you a perfectionist?
Yeah, well, yeah. But I am a perfectionist, but I have a saying. I believe this. I will never be as great as I want to be, but I'm willing to spend the rest of my life trying to be as great as I can be.
Yeah.
That's the human condition. A running back in football. We all know who they are. The greatest. Jim Brown, Cleveland Browns, was like way outstanding in football back then. Unstoppable. But did he get a touchdown every time he got the ball? No. But he kept trying every play, every game, every season. And at the end of all of it, his stats were unbelievable. He didn't focus on the stats. He focused on the end zone. I focus on the end zone. I'm never perfect, but I'm trying. I'm shooting for perfection.
Learn from your choices.
It's like Tiger Woods at the top of his game. You know, he was still out there at 5:30 in the morning practicing shooting balls. It's like, you know, he could have been doing, well, obviously he was doing other things at that time. But, I mean, he still had that dedication to purpose and to practice.
Absolutely. Michael Jordan, the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Kobe Bryant, yeah.
Yeah, they miss millions of baskets to be great.
Let's talk a little bit about Mellencamp. I think you got fired like a couple of times with him, but you were such a signature part of that sound. I mean, going back to like Jack and Diane. And I guess the thing is, when you had the meeting, it was like, hey, you guys work for me. These are my ideas, but you can offer suggestions. But like Jack and Diane, the way that you hit the drums, the cymbal. And then also, I guess Mick Ronson played into that story.
Yeah. That's great. All right. First of all, Jack and Diane, yes, I created that drum part on the spot. That was probably the most iconic moment in my life in rock and roll, because that was like do or die. I had to save that song to save my career. That's what I was thinking. It was the World Series, bases loaded, 2 outs, full count. They put me in to hit a home run. And if you strike out, the team goes home with not winning the World Series. So I was under that pressure. That's the way I looked at it. And it was the most difficult record I've ever made. 2 guys got fired. John was extremely frustrated and angry. He and I almost got in a fist fight. It was not fun making that record. But I didn't understand. This is not a put down to John at all. As a matter of fact, all I have is great feelings towards John. I really do. I mean, at the time, I didn't, but I do now, because he gave us all the platform, including himself, to become who we are. He's not the only one that made me who I am, but nevertheless, those 17 years were amazing years. And if it wasn't for me being in the John Mellencamp band, I would never come up with Jack and Diane. He wrote this song. It wasn't good enough to get on the radio the way it was. I walk in the studio and the co-producer, Don's got this metal box. I said, Don, what's that? He goes, oh, this is a Lin 1 drum machine. I'm going, drum machine? What are you using that for? And he says, yeah, the Bee Gees are using it next door. This is at Criteria Studios in Miami, which is a big rock and roll. Leonard Skinner was there. And Gary Rossington with his band was there. Barbra Streisand, all kinds of people were there. So we were staying in Stephen Still's house. Anyway, so I said, well, what are you doing with that thing? He says, well, we're going to use it on Jack and Diane. I went, I'm being replaced by a machine? I got replaced by 2 humans 2 years ago. I grabbed the box, another moment of no, I'm part of this. Grab the box, grab the manual. I'm like, well, I'm going to program it. So I programmed that. Bam, 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 bam. All right. I give them the box back and I'm like, what is happening, Kenny? You're being replaced by a machine. It's like, what's going on with your career? I was devastated. I get called in 2 hours, 3 hours later, and John wants this big, iconic drum thing. Mick Ronson, I don't know if he thought that would be a good idea, or John, but Mick came up with the idea. First of all, let me back up. All I knew is I got to come in with something that's going to be amazing on the radio. See, I've already learning how to serve the artist, serve the music, serve Mellencamp, serve the producers, serve the musicians. What can I do to get this song on the radio to be number 1? That is my job only. What can I do to get the song on the radio to be number 1? Not play? Fine, not play. Whatever it takes to be number 1. It's like if you win the Super Bowl, you win the Super Bowl. Even if you're on the bench, you get the ring. You're part of the team. That was what I had learned. Anyway, so I got to come up with something that's going to blast out of a car speaker, out of a stereo, out of any little thing that plays music.
Walkman.
Yeah. So they spent the whole day getting drum sounds. John wanted the biggest drum sound in the world. And that was a new thing. So it took a long time. Anyway, I decided I'm going to come in, boom, blam. Because I thought, simple, big. It's like, hello, I'm here. I do just that and stop. I look in the control. I'm like looking for support and validation. And I get this from 9 people.
Wow.
I'm like, wow, I still got my job.
Was John one of those that gave you the thumbs up?
Yep.
Okay,
so
good.
I continued to go. I hit a dead end. I end up in the control room, and everyone's telling me what to do, what not to do. It's a complete craziness. And then I suddenly dawned on me, Ken, it's up to you. Nobody's going to save your life but you here. I'm heading back. I'm 50 feet from the drum set. I'm going, dude, you have to save your career right now. 40 feet, what are you going to play? 30, I don't know. 20, dude, 20 feet. What are you going to play? 10, I don't know. 0. I'm like, sheesh. I'm at the drums. I'm looking at the drums. I look up at them. Look at the drums. I look up at them. I'm like, shit. All of a sudden, bam, a light went off my head. Okay. Don't start from scratch because I don't even have an idea. Just take what you already have and try to rework it. That concept is this. You got a room full of furniture. You don't like the room. You have 2 choices. Throw the furniture away or just rearrange it. I rearranged it. That's what I did. I sat there and rearranged the furniture. Basically, I started boom, blam, ooh, ooh, ooh. I started an 8th note later. Displaced the rhythm. Boom, blam, goo, boom, blam, 1, an 8th note off. Anyway, bottom line is it is what it is. As soon as I got done playing the solo, it was Mick Ronson that said, oh, John. And Mick Ronson, for everybody that doesn't know who he is, was the amazing rock star for David Bowie. And he created all these great parts and was the coolest mofo on stage. Didn't bounce around. He just sat there cool and played. Mick was the one that says, John, you should sing the chorus over a drum groove that Kenny plays. So I had to come up with a drum groove, which was boom, da doo, shka, boom, da boom, and on and on. I won't bore you with the details, but I came up with it very fast with John screaming at me. And then the same room at the Chateau Marmont where I got fired from the record before, Nothing Matters and What If It Did, I was in that same room when Jack and Diane went to #1 years later, 2.5 years later or whatever it was, in August. And I'll never forget, like, oh my God, I'm #1. Then I went, no, I'm not. I had 2 seconds of joy, and then I went, #1? I'm not the #1. You got guys like Jeff Porcaro, Neil Peart from Rush. You got this guy, that guy. I'm not #1. Song's #1. You're on a #1 hit song. How am I going to do this again? What am I going to do? I don't even know the song yet. You know what I mean? There was all this uncertainty.
The paranoia starts creeping in.
I just realized, wow, just because you become successful doesn't mean you stay successful. I have to earn it, song by song.
But you're also hard on yourself. I mean, that was your moment, and you deserved that moment. And maybe you weren't #1 drummer in the world, but that was still a beautiful moment for you, Kenny.
It was. I mean, trust me, when we played it live, and people all air drum it with me, the whole audience, 18,000, and we got, years later, we were selling out arenas with no opening act, just us. And it was very rewarding. Still is rewarding when I hear it. I'm like, oh my God, songs still played on the radio. How many songs that are coming out this year that will ever be played on the radio next year? You know what I mean? This is an iconic song, one of the most 2 air drummed drum parts on pop radio ever. In the Air Tonight with Phil Collins, and this, I'd say, pretty much the biggest, except if you go way back to Wipeout.
Yeah.
But the thing is that, yeah, you're right. I was really hard. I'm still hungry and humble, so that keeps me going. I realize I'm as good as my last song, my last recording. That's a great thing to have as something I did. But, people are looking at, what did you do? What are you doing now? So I think I was putting that kind of pressure on me.
That's a lot of pressure,
Yeah, but you know what? I don't mind that. I operate good.
And you live on that also. I mean, looking at your schedules and who you tour with and how you balance from tour to tour and try to weave in and out of all those projects. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, but it's like you always put a challenge in front of you, which is another thing that I think that you talk about, challenging yourself and making sure that you continue to be and stay good. And
I get stimulated by new ideas. I'm always trying to better myself. The bigger challenge now is to prioritize. And I'm at a place right now where I need to weed a few things out I'm like so far behind on a drum book. I'm supposed to be writing with somebody, and we had a discussion on Sunday, and I was supposed to get some of that to him by Sunday. And here we are already Wednesday because I had other things I had to deal with. My Pro Tools went down. I couldn't record. Now I'm backlogged. And then there was filming I had to do. And then there's a podcast and then other things. And tomorrow I have an artist painting in my studio. I've got, just so much going on. And so here we are. I had a big meeting last night with my speaking agent or the guy who books me. And he was like, dude, you need to regroup here and really think about what it is you're doing and filter out the stuff that's not really necessary. He's right. So, yeah, it's so easy to say yes,
Yeah.
Well, thank you for making us on your necessary list. Appreciate it.
A couple more things that, I know that you're time challenged, but it's just such a great career. John Fogerty, when you're playing with him, 30 drummers tried out for his band, and
what it was, first of all, John Fogerty, I was listening to when I was teenager or young, listening to Creedence and reading Marvel comic books. If somebody had told me I was going to be playing with him, I would be ecstatic. So I get a call in 1995. I think it was December. How would you like to record some songs with John Fogerty? I'm like, when were you going to ever ask?
We have been waiting.
After we come in, I meet him. I'm like, wow. He plays me the song. I write a chart. We go out. I didn't know they were just going for drums. It was bass and him playing guitar and singing, but they were just going for drums. John would tune all the drums himself. He was extremely detailed and impeccable about everything. That was a rare session where I didn't have my drums delivered and set up by a cartage company. He said, don't bring your drums. I'm like, what? Don't you want my sound? No, his brother said, don't bring your drums, just bring your sticks. Literally, I had to play his bass drum pedal. He decided he knew what drum head he on the bass drum, what beater, how to tune it, how to put the packing blanket in there. He had a whole system for everything. Anyway, we play the song twice, we go listen to it. We're recording the tape. Play 2 songs, takes, listen to it. 2 takes, go listen to it. 2 takes, listen to it. I went, John, that's pretty damn good. I think you got it. He goes, yeah, I think I'm going to revisit this for a little while longer. We did 3.5 hours, all right? Lunchtime, we come back, we do a new song. At the end of the day, John goes, I really like the way you play, dude. Would you come back tomorrow? I went, oh my God, are you kidding me? Yeah. I come back and I go, what are we doing today, guys? What new songs? Not new songs, same 2 songs. Whoa, what did I do wrong? I said, nothing. John just likes to keep going. What's he looking for? Not sure. Wednesday, I'd come back, same 2 songs. Thursday.
All day long, right?
All day. 2 songs. Friday, finally, same 2 songs. Next week, he invites me back. 2 different songs, but all week long. And a couple albums later, it's 10 a.m., recording at NRG, and I live right across from NRG, so I just walk over there, taps me on the shoulder. The beat is real simple. Goot, got, do, doot, got, boot, got, do, doot, got. He goes, taps me on the leg, says, dude, man, it's amazing. I don't know how you do this at 10 in the morning. And I went, I don't either because I'm usually sleeping. And I said, I could hear milliseconds. I went, I think I could do better. And he went like this. I went, what, high five? He goes, no. When I broke up the band with Creedence, I was practicing the drums 4 hours a day for 10 years. Realized I couldn't play that beat. And so that's why I hired you. I can do everything else, but I can't play drums like that. And he says, and when we did the Blue Moon Swamp record, you were the 30th drummer. I had 30 drummers play on the record. You were the 30th. I ended up on half the record that we do all the songs. He says, you're the drummer I've always been looking for. And another thing? He spent 5 years preparing to record the album for 5 years. Practicing. He and I are a great match. Yeah. He's a workaholic. He wakes up, practices 5 hours a day, then goes for a run, and then goes about his day. I get it. And I've been with John Fogerty on and off for 27 years.
That's incredible. And especially since it was somebody you grew up with. And at that time as a kid, you're like, you don't even think of like, I'm going to play with him. But then all of a sudden, that's just so cool.
It is cool.
It's so cool.
Same with Stevie Wonder when I played with Stevie Wonder.
Wow.
Oh my God, I'm playing the Obama inauguration with him. I'm playing the Beatles tribute. How about the Beatles? 50 years after seeing them on the Ed Sullivan Show, I'm now been asked to be the drummer in the band that's honoring them on the CBS special, The Night That Changed America. And I'm playing with Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr, my heroes. It's like, and the night before I did the Grammys with Ringo. And when I was done, I played with Stevie Wonder on that, Joe Walsh from the Eagles, Dave Grohl from Foo Fighters, Nirvana, Brad Paisley, on and on. And I walk out there looking for my wife, and there's all these people, elite seats in the middle of the arena. It's Tom Hanks, his wife, Ringo, his wife, Paul McCartney, his girlfriend, George Harrison's widow, Yoko Ono, Sean Lennon, Johnny Depp, Sean Penn, Tom Cruise. They're all acknowledging me, but Ringo's applauding me.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, okay, I've talked to him, but now I'm going to tell him.
Yeah.
It just hit me. I'm exhausted. I did a great job. I wouldn't tell you if I didn't. I did a good job. I did my homework. I get down on one knee and I'm thinking about what to say. And he goes, "That's okay, Kenny. I'm already married." So I said, Ringo, you're the reason why I play the drums. And you and the Beatles set me on a course at age 10. I've been on ever since. I have to thank you for that. You guys helped me realize my purpose. And I got up and walked away. His wife's, all emotional. I went, it's true, man. I don't know where those words came from. I was searching for something, and that's what came out. And I realized, you know what? They are the reason why I play rock and roll. From that time I was a little kid. Who knows? Nothing else inspired me like that, but that did. And I realized, in order to be great at something, you have to put in the time. You have to do your work. You have to be self-disciplined. You have to persevere. In order to do that, you have to love what you do so you can do those things.
Beautifully said.
There was a great story. I think you were talking, you were in a session with B.B. King, and he's hearing you, and he goes, "I don't know who you are, but man, I am digging you."
Yeah, that's right. Oh my God, I didn't know who he was talking. I was like,
such great stuff. And then there was a great story too about Phil Collins. The other iconic drum solo.
Oh my God.
This was a great story where, it's like Phil Collins, and then.
This is at Madison Square Garden, everybody, New York City. This is when Mellencamp flying in a private jet, no opening act, just selling out 17 to 20,000 seats a night, sometimes twice in one city. After sound check, as I'm walking on stage or after sound check, I said to my tech, "What are those 4 chairs doing over on my left back there?" He said, that's Phil Collins and his family. I'm like, what?
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
I wouldn't mind now. Back then, I was green. I was new. I was like, Phil Collins from Genesis, Brand X, and Phil Collins.
Oh, my God, yes, Brand X.
Sitting there, he's going to watch me. And my tech said, all he did was go, drummer, lead singer, drummer, lead singer, drummer. He just kept. I never looked at him the whole time. I was totally aware he was there. Never looked at him. And I didn't put this in my book. This is I don't mean to be egotistical.
Oh,
but
you're not. No.
This is what the lady said, the wardrobe lady. Her name's Spanky, and she talked like this. She's like, "Kenny, hey, Kenny." She goes, "Hey, I'm not probably supposed to tell you this, and I know John's not going to tell you this, but Phil went up to him and said, 'You got the best drummer in rock and roll in your band right now.'" That's what Phil said. She told me that months later.
Did you meet him that night?
I've never met him.
Really? Oh.
No, I never met Phil. I went and saw him before I was in the Mellencamp band when he had Face Value record out. I went and saw him, was like, wow. Oh my God, is he good? His voice, songwriting, his drumming. And there was something cool. I recorded with the Buddy Rich Big Band.
Oh, yeah. What a great album.
Two big, 2 swing tunes, a Big Swing Face and then, Straight No Chaser, which is a blazing song. And he did an interview in Modern Drummer, and he ended up putting out like a jazz record or a swing record or went out with a jazz band or something. But he gave me kudos. He said, "Yeah, I was inspired by Kenny playing with the Buddy Rich Big Band. I thought, man, I can do that." Because, see, a lot of us old folks grew up playing jazz and listening to jazz before rock and roll came out. And he was one of those guys.
That's some great stuff.
Same with Charlie Watts. Charlie Watts has his own jazz band, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's because we all grew up listening to jazz before rock and roll. Some of the greatest drummers ever came up playing jazz. And since jazz was the type of music that you could improvise and express yourself, unlike you can maybe in pop music, you got monster drummers like Buddy Rich and, you know, Gene Krupa and Louis Bellson and Philly Joe Jones, Elvin Jones, Joe Jones. I mean, I could go on and on.
Who of the modern day drummers do you respect?
There's so many great drummers, but, you know, and I don't know if this is modern day, but, you know, I still think that Dave Grohl is one of the greatest rock and roll drummers. He's got a spirit, and I've been around him, and I've played drums with playing guitar. When he plays drums, it's like so authentic and real. Taylor Hawkins,
yeah,
badass drummer, killer.
Yeah,
we all have mutual admiration. What's his name? My buddy Chad from the Chili Peppers.
Oh yeah,
Chad Smith.
Chad Smith.
He's great. Danny Carey from Tool. You know, still, you know, Vinnie Colaiuta, session guy. Steve Gadd always was my idol. You know, Steve Smith who used to play with Journey. There's so many great drummers. I mean, young ones. I can't remember their names, but there's, you know, so many. There's a lot of, like, you know, the gospel drummers came up with a whole thing that was so fun, you know, amazing and funky and technical. It was great.
And to know that all those people, you know, respect you, and you're one of, they say top 100, but I mean, I would say probably top 10, you know, of rock and roll. I mean, it's just amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. And thank you for taking your time. A couple of quick questions, just the fun part.
Kenny, so we have, at the end of the show here, we do a bonus round, and it's kind of like a lightning round. So it's going to be really tough questions, but hopefully you can pull out the answers. What was your very first album?
Peanut Butter. No, joking. I was going to say Peanut Butter after everything.
That'll go well.
Yeah, Surfing Safari by the Beach Boys.
Oh, great.
How many pairs of sunglasses do you have?
I'm only 50 now. I lose them.
Yeah.
50. And these are expensive. They're all expensive.
Are they prescription?
No.
Oh, okay.
I started the glass thing when I joined the Smashing Pumpkins. I was walking on stage for my first show, had a black shirt with yellow stripes, and my kid had yellow goggly glasses with black rims. He said, "I think these look good with your shirt." Put them on, and the Chicago Tribune, all they talked about was my glasses, not my playing. And I went, "Guess I'm wearing glasses."
Yeah.
What was the very first concert you went to?
I want to say it was either the Young Rascals. You're talking about rock and roll, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Young Rascals. Oh, no, it might have been the McCoys with Hang On, Sloopy, Sloopy, Hang On, with one of the greatest guitar players, Rick Derringer. Yep.
God. Yeah. Amazing song.
Favorite football team?
Ooh. Indianapolis Colts and then the Patriots.
Okay.
But now I'm a big I love Kansas City. I like what they're doing there. I'm a big team player guy, and they were unbelievable. But I'll pick the Colts. I've been to 11 Super Bowls. I used to fly with the Colts on the team plane. I'm from New England, so I was a Patriots guy. I still respect Tom Brady and Belichick, just an incredible example of how to win. And but Colts because
Indiana. Yeah,
Indiana.
Okay. If you were making a documentary film, what rock subject would it be on?
Well, it would be on some of the attributes I like to talk about, which is hard work, self-discipline, perseverance, creativity, innovation, teamwork, and realizing your purpose and adjusting and adapting to stay relevant in your career. Those are the things I talk about.
Okay.
Do you still have a thing for female cello players?
I dated two. Well, I shouldn't say this. The first one I didn't date. I had a crush on her. The second one I dated. And no, I haven't seen a cello player. I mean, once I switched to rock and roll, they got a little bit hotter.
Yeah.
What band do you regret never seeing live?
Oh, wow. Led Zeppelin.
Really?
Really? Never saw them.
I saw Hendrix and Cream.
Did you really?
And The Who.
With Keith, yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. What is your coolest piece of tour memorabilia?
Touring? You mean from tour? I guess.
Sure.
I'd say,
Or music. I mean, you can count all your gold records back there.
I have 1,300 gold, platinum, diamond records, but I mean, I dig the Mellencamp gave us a Harley Davidson, a real, authentic Harley Davidson motorcycle jacket with John Cougar Mellencamp, Bloomington, Indiana, written on it here, and a skull with a knife going, a big pirate knife going through the skull. American Fool Tour.
Wow.
Very nice.
That
Pretty
sounds
badass.
awesome.
Have you ever hurt yourself playing drums?
Are you? Is that a setup, Rita?
No, it's not, man. No,
Not at all.
not at all.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe I can't remember what I put in the book.
No, I was just.
I know the answer, but go ahead, Kenny. I can answer for you if you'd like.
Well, folks, I was on the On-Her tour, and a very, very rare thing happened. Only happened once in my life, thank God. Broke the stick, but somehow the stick went that way, the sharp end.
Oh.
That way, meaning downward.
Yeah,
Oh.
it hit me right bullseye in my private parts, and I feel the sensation. I thought I was bleeding or something, and I start to faint, and my head's going like this. So my tech comes running up, and he thinks it's the cymbals because I'm going like this, and I'm like, no. And he comes up to me. I go, "What's wrong?" I said, "It's my dick." He goes, "What?" I says, "My dick." He slaps me on my back and says, "You're on your own, bud. See ya."
Great
And-
tack, huh?
Yeah.
You also hurt your nose, right?
I had nose surgery because I was a varsity jock on varsity sports in my sophomore year in high school, junior and senior. And I don't know, somehow through the process, you get banged up. My nose was broken and it was like this and I wasn't breathing good. So I had it straightened out. Not shortened, folks. I said, keep it just as big and beautiful. So it was like this, straightened. And I remember I had to go on tour with Melissa Etheridge, and about 2 weeks after the surgery, which really hurt here, I started practicing in my studio, and I went, So I went, where is that cable hi-hat that I don't like? Basically, your foot is over here, and there's a cable that runs and puts it over here. So you can play like that. So you're not like this. So you're not coming across your nose.
Cross your face.
That's what I started doing, playing over there.
Wow.
Great stuff.
That hurt. Oh, my God.
Who's your biggest influence in your life, musically or not?
Wow. Nobody's asked that. My biggest, well, one of them was my dad. I mean, how could it not be? He was an incredible man. My dad, I mean, that's like insane. I right now, influence. Okay. George Gaber, my teacher at Indiana University, was at a whole nother level. Arthur Press from the Boston Symphony Orchestra and Vic Firth. These are people that showed me the light in a way to play a musical instrument and to be, and how to be great at anything in life,
Yeah.
Do you meditate?
Not enough, but whenever I get really, really stressed, I go into the breathing, deep breaths, and just try to meditate. My meditation is it's not what you would imagine. I mean, my head is like the 4th of July, but if I can calm myself down and relax enough to even fall asleep, then I've done my job. The idea about meditation is just to be aware of what's going on in this kooky head so that you don't blame other things and other people for things that are just naturally going on in here. And another thing I learned from a Buddhist monk is that sometimes you just, your brain, they don't understand the brain, can be going through a chemical thing where it makes you feel anger. Okay? And then because you feel anger, you start to be angry at everything. You have to understand your brain may be going through the anger and you're just following it, and all the things you're angry at have nothing to do. You shouldn't be angry at those things and people because it's not them. It's coming from up here. If you understand that, you can just casually steer the ship slowly in another direction and not focus on those people. Those people become a distraction to the source of the emotion. And so the thing when you meditate is to observe who you are, where you are, and then make choices based on that.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Well,
Okay.
just so much information, so much talent, and I can't thank you enough for this time.
Yes.
Is there a place where people can contact you if they want to hire you for public speaking engagements and so forth?
Well, if you go to my website, you can definitely get me for sessions, www.KennyAronoff.com. I think there's a place that you can reach out to me for sessions, and you can even ask me about the speaking. But my speaking agency, you go to CAL at calentertainment.com. CAL@calentertainment.com, or you go on all my social media. I have a Twitter is official Aronoff. The Instagram is my name. LinkedIn is my name. Facebook is my name. Now, anybody asks me, can I be their friend personally? I tapped out 8 years ago. I got over 1,000 people waiting, but I mean, Facebook only gives you 5,000 slots, and it's full. But I have a Facebook fan page. I also every 2 weeks I do this thing. You can join me. It's on. You'll see me promote it on all social media. It's Kenny Aronoff on Red TV, and I have a host, and we talk about all kinds of things. I'm going to be reading on my book coming up. I think next week, more about Mellencamp. But if you go on my YouTube channel, you can see where some of those have been posted. As a matter of fact, I just had my mom, sister, and my brother, twin brother, on unexpectedly
very cool.
on the last episode. It's pretty cool.
That's great.
Excellent. Thank you again, Kenny, and can't wait till the pandemic's over so we can see you live. But I'm glad you're working. Book. And if you around the Chicken Foot guys, tell them Rita and C-Dub said hey from KLOS.
Thank you, Kenny, very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Take care, you guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Kenny's pretty intense, you know?
He's pretty intense. Yeah, he's a great guy, just so talented. And I find it amazing just how he does so much. So driven.
I mean, and he, like he said, he's trying to cut back a little bit.
Special thanks today to Kenny Aronoff for Zooming with us from his studio in Studio City, North Hollywood area. You can purchase Kenny's book, Sex, Drums, and Rock and Roll, at your local bookstore, and look for the audio version coming out soon.
Kenny's website is KennyAronoff.com. It's KennyAronoff.com. Follow Kenny on Facebook at Kenny Aronoff Official. And don't forget, we write up show notes on each of our shows, and we put them on our website. There you can find links to our guests' social media, plus websites and videos that the guests discuss. Find the show notes at rockandrollconfessional.rocks.
And if you listen to our show on iTunes, please subscribe and write a quick review. It only takes 2 minutes and would make our day, our week, our life. Thank you.
Yes, please follow us and like us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And I think we need a moment of inspiration, Rita.
Wear your fucking masks.
Wow, we got through the whole interview without swearing.
Oh, sorry. Let me take it back.
Oh, no, you can do it.
Wear your mask, people, please.
Keep safe, keep sane, wear your mask, and enjoy what beautiful life we do have here on this planet.
Yes, we do.
Well, everybody, take care, and we will see you very soon.
Thank you, Steph.
Thanks, Reeds.